Master horse racing with daily racing fields Formulator, now free for DRF Bets members. Sign up to get the best bonus in racing with a $250 deposit match, plus a $10 free bet and free Formulator past performances. Go to drf.com/bet to play like a pro today.
Hi everybody, Dan Ullman, Mike Beer. We're at beautiful Belmont Park, creeping closer to Saturday's Belmont Stakes. We're going to take a look at race number 9, which kicks off a 50-cent Big 4 on Saturday. It's the Grade 1 Jaipur, going 3/4 of a mile on the Widener turf. Now, before we take a look at the field, I want to remind everybody to head on over to shop.drf.com and access those Belmont Stakes packages up to 46% off the retail price. Everything you need to win big on Belmont Stakes Day. Here's the field for the Jaipur. It's a competitive group, even with a two-time defending champion in here, Casa Creed, because Casa Creed's going to have to take down a very talented mare. Caravel won the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint last year and has shown no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, she's looked good in her first 2 starts this year, so we'll see if she can keep it going. She's going to be one of the favorites, I suspect, from her outside post. And Casa Creed, though, I mean, I just think you have to look at him in this race. He's not the morning line favorite. Maybe he won't be favored at post time. He's the horse to beat here. He's won this race 2 years in a row. They're both really fast races. He loves 6 furlongs.
Got to think that this time Form US pace projector is going to feature a fast pace up front, and it does. How do you think this pace is going to play out, Mike? I do think Caravel's got to be forward.
Yeah, I mean, they have a really tough post with her, Dan. For a filly or a mare who likes to be forward in her races, she's got post 12 in here going 6. She's going to have to come out of there running. We'll see how it all works out. They have the number 9 up there as well, Be Better. I mean, that horse has plenty of speed. I think he or Nothing Better rather. I think he probably prefers 6 furlongs as well. This pace could certainly be fast, that's for sure.
Horse I want to fool around with at a big price is the number 1 Yes and Yes, going out for trainer David Donk. Let's watch his most recent start. He gets beat a nose in the Elusive Quality, going 7/8 of a mile. This is a horse that has enough tactical speed where I think he can sort of tuck in behind the leaders in mid-pack and maybe work out a pace-tracking, ground-saving trip. He has yet to prove it against the stakes competition, but he earned a figure last time out, and he's going to be a big price.
No, he did run really well last time. I mean, he didn't really have an excuse not to win that race, but he still ran really well in there. He's another horse that's 6 furlongs. Feels like it really fits him. He's on a bit of a losing streak ever since they bumped him up into stakes races. He's struggling to get to the winner's circle, but he shows up every time.
I'm a big fan of the 2 Go Bears Go. I needed him in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint back in 2021. He ran just fine against Twilight Gleaming. Johnny V gave him a great trip that day. He got beat a half length. He turned into a Group 3 winner last year. He's not a star. He also doesn't have a lot of early speed. So he's the kind of horse that if you give him some pace in a trip, he's going to come with a run, but you got to demand value.
Yeah, I think you're going to get value on him in here too. I think he's going to be a fair price. And here's another horse. His last 2 starts, the end of last year at the Breeders' Cup, off the layoff last time, 5.5 furlongs. I think this horse is better if you give him a little bit more ground to work with. He's supposed to have pace in front of him here. I think he is going to be a price in this race. I'm using it.
Air Force Red's a graded stakes winner out in Southern California. He really does well going on the downhill turf course, as he did last time out in the Siren Lure back on April the 23rd. Now, he's odds on in this race. He got close to the pace. He doesn't get past What Makes Sammy Run, but when What Makes Sammy Run feels like running, he's really good.
Yeah, that's a really good horse, What Makes Sammy Run. This horse ran fine in there. He was only second best. It was another good performance. He's very consistent. I think the one little thing that you have to keep in mind with him, Dan, is he wants to be on the early lead. This pace could be fast.
Few trainers in the country right now are as hot as David Jacobson. It seems like he's winning just about every race, and he's going to step up the 4 midday image off 3 consecutive victories. Now, he won a 3rd level allowance race, the race we're showing you right now, but he showed some good tactical speed. This horse has got to be feeling great about himself right now, and it looks like they finally figured out what he wants to do in that sprint.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, this horse ran some fast races going longer too early in his career, but they've decided to reinvent him as a sprinter. At least Jacobson has in those last 2 starts, and he's looked good winning. To me, he's got to improve again. This is a huge step up in class.
Dr. Zemf is up next, and I kind of like this horse cutting back in distance for trainer Chad Brown. I liked his North American debut. I know it was a 2-turn race going 7.5. I know it wasn't a very strong field, but he won that race in the manner that a European stakes horse should do against allowance horses in North America. They ran him in the Maker's Mark last time out. It was too tough for him. I think this is actually a little bit of class relief for him. I don't mind him turning back in distance. Remember, he was a sprinter over there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you. I like him cutting back a little bit in this race, like you. I thought he was really impressive winning his stateside debut. Allowance field or not, he couldn't have won that race any easier. They stretched him out in that grade 1 last time, Dan. He got super super headstrong early in that race. He just would not come back to Tyler Gaffalione, and they just had to turn him loose up the backstretch. He went way too fast. He got tired in the stretch. I don't care about that race. I like him sprinting, and he's not the guy who's gotten headstrong in the past in his races. I think it's going to settle in here.
Down from Woodbine for Mark Cassie's the 6 Ice Chocolat, who ran second in this race, the grade 3 Jacques Cartier, going 3/4 of a mile on the Tapeta. This is a horse that ran just fine. He earned a career best 96 Beyer speed figure. His turf form is good. Not sure if it's grade 1 good.
Yeah, I don't think it is grade 1 good, at least at this point. That being said, that last race there at Woodbine on the all-weather might be the best race he's ever run. He didn't win that day. He ran really well.
The 7 Thin White Duke always has a puncher's chance in a race that has a fast pace. He likes to sit back. He likes to make one run. He is an overachiever for trainer David Donkin. I think he's done some good things in his career. Again, I'm not sure if he's a true grade 1 type horse, but if he gets the right trip and setup, he could liven up the exotics.
That's my concern as well. He does have an effort in him that would give him a real chance. And go back to that Troy last summer at Saratoga, where he was in against Golden Pale. He ran a huge one that day. He's going to sit back. He's going to make one run in this race.
Arrest Me Red, the number 8, was coming into last year's Jaipur in career form. That's why he went off the betting favorite that day, and he ran just fine. Casa Creed was just better than he was. Now he's coming into the race maybe in not as good form, although he does have tactical speed. Could you make an excuse for his last race?
Yeah, I don't know if I can. I mean, I didn't feel like he had a huge excuse, but he also didn't have great position in that race.
Right.
And he's a way handier horse than that, Dan. He's third off the layoff now. I think 6 furlongs is a good distance for him. I thought he ran fine against Caravel 2 starts back. You're telling me this horse can't win? He might be a fair price.
I think he's a fair price. He's 6-1 on the morning line. Arad retains the mount. And again, he's the kind of horse I think that can work out his trip, adaptable to any sort of pace scenario. Nothing better. I wonder if he's as good as 6, Mike, as he is going some shorter distances. I know he's done well at this distance in the past. We'll watch his last race. This is the turf sprint at Pimlico, where he was under the gun from the inside post, and he ran very well. Beer Can Man, another horse that when he shows up is okay.
Yeah, true enough. I mean, I actually, Dan, the more I looked at him, the more I felt like maybe 6 furlongs is actually better for this horse. I don't know if he likes the shorter sprint distances. They won 5 last time. Did he have an excuse in that race? No, he did not. He was clear in the stretch. It did take a good horse to run him down, but he was probably supposed to win there. He was pretty good winning 2 starts back. Over this distance, though, that was off the layoff. This horse was starting to get good at the end of last year. I think he can improve again.
Big Invasion, the number 10, was turning some heads last year when he reeled off 6 consecutive wins for trainer Christophe Clement, and it looked like he was going to return as a 4-year-old just as good when he won the Silks Run as the favorite at Gulfstream Park. What happened last time? He didn't run well at all.
No, he didn't. It had to be mildly disappointing, Dan. But he's another horse who could easily rebound in here. He still has some upside, so it wouldn't be shocking to see him take a step forward. I've always had a tough time warming up to him. I spent all of last year betting against him and losing. I'll bet against him again in here, but I won't be surprised when he runs.
Casa Creed, he's the king of the Jaipur. He's won this race his last 2 years, and he's also run a very close second in Saudi Arabia in the last 2 years. Here's his most recent start in that Saudi turf sprint, and he swung wide into the stretch. He kept grinding and grinding and grinding. The horse that beat him got the jump on him.
Yeah, the horse was on the lead the entire way, wired that field. Casa Creed had to move to the outside around the turn. He was wide into the stretch. He kept coming. He just missed him there. It was another good performance. If nothing else, it showed that as a 7-year-old, this horse can still run. He loves 6 furlongs. To me, he's the horse to beat.
Has he turned into a one-run closer at this point in his career, going shorter, or can he be closer to the pace if necessary? It does look like this race could set up for him, and you could make the argument he's the best closer.
Yeah, he's going to have pace in front of him anyway. I don't think he's a horse who's going to be outrun and leave himself with way too much to do. He's not going to be up near the leaders, but he's not a slow horse.
Caravel's won 5 of her last 6 starts, 4 in a row, 2 against the boys, including the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. Last time out in the unbridled Sydney against fillies and mares, just simply too good. She was on the lead on the outside. She cleared to the rail on the turn, and she won as a Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint winner is supposed to do against listed stakes competition. She's going to have to really hustle out of there from post 12. She's going to make the lead. I do think she's fast enough to do it. Do you think 6 is a little far for her?
Yeah, I would worry about it. I mean, she's won going 6 furlongs before, so it's not like she can't get it. Is she a little bit better going 5 or 5.5? I think that's possible. I wouldn't look at her and say that 6 furlongs is no issue for her. I think it is, especially when you combine it with post 12 with other speed to her inside. And I get that she's good, Dan, but let's just everybody needs to remember. She won the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint last year. She was over 40 to 1.
She was over 40 to 1. She has run very, very well around those races, but this is the toughest spot since the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint, to be sure, and she's not going to be anything close to 40 to 1. Front Run the Fed scored last time out at Keeneland, going 5.5 furlongs, and let's watch Front Run the Fed, because this is what he can do in these allowance races. He can look really, really good, and things worked out for him, I guess, from a trip standpoint, weaving his way through traffic to win. The problem is, when you step him up against these tougher races, he performs well, he just doesn't get there.
Yeah, he doesn't get there, but he's one of those horses who needs a trip, he needs a little bit of pace, and things don't always work out for him. They happened to work out for him last time at Keeneland, but it's not like that was a total shocker, Dan. This horse has always been good. He just needs a trip and he needs some pace.
New York bred Surprise Boss completes the horses in the body of the field. We do have 2 also eligibles. I didn't see an excuse last time out in the Elusive Quality.
Yeah, maybe 7 furlongs isn't exactly what he wants. He's actually a pretty good horse on his best day, but he's a horse who wants to be part of the pace, Dan. Post 14 really works against him.
If there are scratches, you have 2 legitimate horses in here. Capola, the 15, was the favorite in the Jim McKay Turf Sprint last time out, coming off of a perfect trip, big figure win against second allowance competition at Churchill. I would much rather see our shot in here. I'm very disappointed that he didn't get into the body of the race, because he's looked very good for John Terranova.
I'm with you. I don't think he's going to get in. It's not going to be easy for him to do some damage in here, even if he does, but that horse has upside.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Grade 1 Jaipur. Is it going to be 3 in a row for Casa Creed?
I mean, in some ways, I'm kind of hoping that it is. I'm definitely using him. I much prefer him to Caravel in this race as the 2 favorites, but I'm going with Dr. Zemf on top. I like him cutting back. I think he's going to get a trip in here.
You're going to get the price, and I like that he's going to actually truly sprint for the first time in North America. Both of his races, including the last one against tough competition, going 2 turns. I think Caravel's going to do just fine breaking from post 12. I think she's going to show fine speed. We'll see if she can go 3/4 of a mile. I'm more of a believer in her than Mike is. I'm going Caravel. Mike's going Dr. Zemf at a price, and we'll see if Casa Creed can three-peat.